Some machines are built to move, but others are engineered to command attention, to exist where cost no longer matters. What you are about to witness belongs to a rare world, one defined not by necessity but by precision and rarity. In this world, we explore how extreme luxury is designed and why only a handful of people can truly access it. There's an intensity here, something deeply felt. We call it heat. It represents pressure, performance, and precision. It's the kind of heat that builds layer by layer until it becomes something impossible to ignore. This is where engineering meets art, where every curve, every material, and every decision is made with absolute purpose. There's a rhythm to this world, a steady buildup of energy and anticipation that reveals itself gradually. The key is continuity. Like a signal that something powerful is unfolding, everything connects in perfect harmony. What begins as a quiet spark slowly transforms into something far more powerful and unmistakable. This is excellence at the highest level. Welcome to the world of extreme luxury. The heat that once built quietly is now circulating, expanding through every layer of the experience. It's no longer confined to a single moment. It's everywhere. You can feel it in the rhythm, in the pacing, in the way each element interacts with the next. This is where structure meets motion, and the result is something far more engaging. There's a transition happening here, but it's not abrupt. It's smooth, almost effortless. One phase blends into another without breaking the flow. That's the mark of precision, when change happens without disruption, when evolution feels natural instead of forced. And yet, the energy continues to rise, not in a chaotic way, but in a way that feels intentional. You begin to notice how everything is becoming more expressive. The repetition that once served as a foundation now adds emphasis. It highlights key moments, reinforces the experience, and keeps everything aligned as the intensity grows. This is where attention becomes critical, because at this level, the smallest details begin to matter more. Tiny shifts in timing, subtle variations in flow, these are the elements that define the difference between something good and something exceptional. And here, those details are handled with absolute control. You're no longer just observing, you're fully engaged. The experience draws you in deeper, holding your focus without effort. There's a sense that everything is leading somewhere, that each moment is part of a larger progression. And that progression is becoming more defined with every passing second. Then something changes, the energy sharpens. There's a brief moment where everything feels more concentrated, more intense. It's not overwhelming, but it's undeniable. This is the point where all the buildup begins to reveal its purpose, where the quiet intensity from earlier transforms into something more direct. You can feel it clearly now. The repetition becomes more deliberate. The rhythm becomes stronger. The flow becomes tighter. Everything is aligning toward a central moment. And yet, even as the intensity increases, the control remains intact. That's what makes this stage so powerful. It proves that true mastery isn't just about building energy. It's about managing it, directing it, shaping it in a way that creates impact without losing balance. There's also a sense of tension that begins to form. Not discomfort, but anticipation. The kind that keeps you focused, waiting for what comes next. It's subtle, but it's there. A quiet signal that something significant is approaching. And still, nothing feels rushed. Every movement, every transition, every moment continues to follow a precise path. This consistency is what keeps the experience grounded even as it becomes more intense. It ensures that nothing feels out of place, nothing feels excessive. Instead, everything feels necessary. At this level, nothing exists without purpose. Every detail supports the overall experience. It's not about adding more, it's about refining what's already there. The energy is reaching a point of clarity. This is where progression turns into presence. You can feel the shift immediately. There's no excess here, only precision. The structure holds firm even as the pressure increases. Maintaining balance isn't lost. It's strengthened. It defines this stage. It stays refined, controlled, focused. Every element continues to serve a purpose, contributing to a larger, unified experience, maintaining the precision that defines us. This is the moment where design becomes storytelling. Not through words, but through progression, through timing, through the way each moment connects to the next. It's a narrative built entirely on structure and flow, and it's becoming more compelling with every second. Then there's a brief pause. Not a stop, but a moment of recalibration. A controlled adjustment that allows everything to settle, even if only for an instant. And in that moment, you realize how far the experience has come. From quiet beginnings to this fully realized intensity. From subtle presence to undeniable force. But even now, it doesn't feel complete. There's still something ahead. You can sense it in the way the rhythm continues, in the way the structure holds, ready to evolve once more. This isn't the end, it's a transition, a preparation for what comes next. And that's what makes this stage so important. It confirms that everything so far has been intentional, that every layer, every detail, every moment has led to this point, not as a conclusion, but as a turning point. Because true mastery doesn't stop at intensity. It uses it, shapes it, and prepares it for something even greater. Now the experience is fully formed. The foundation is strong, the energy is controlled, and the direction is clear. And from here, what follows won't just continue the journey, it will elevate it into something far more powerful and unmistakable. And now that elevation begins to take shape in a way that feels unmistakably real. What was once controlled intensity, carefully built and maintained, starts to express itself more openly. The structure remains intact, but the experience becomes more human, more immediate. There's a shift from pure precision into something that carries emotion, subtle at first, but increasingly clear. You begin to notice it in the smallest changes. A variation in rhythm, a moment that feels less mechanical and more instinctive. These are not disruptions, they are evolutions. They signal that the system is no longer just operating at a high level, but adapting, responding, becoming more dynamic without losing its foundation. And that's where things become truly compelling. Because perfection alone can feel distant. But when precision meets human response, the experience becomes relatable. It gains depth, it becomes something you don't just observe, you connect with it. There's a brief moment where that connection becomes visible. A reaction, a response, something that breaks through the controlled environment and reminds you that behind all this structure, there is awareness, there is understanding, a recognition of what's happening and an instinctive response to it. It's subtle but powerful. You hear it in the tone, in the shift of energy, a quiet acknowledgement, almost like a realization. It doesn't disrupt the flow, but it adds a new layer to it. It shows that this isn't just about maintaining intensity anymore, it's about interacting with it. And then the intensity responds, not by increasing uncontrollably, but by becoming more expressive. The rhythm adjusts, the pacing adapts. There's a sense that everything is now in motion, not just progressing forward, but reacting in real time. This is where control meets unpredictability. Not chaos, but variation. A controlled form of unpredictability that makes the experience feel alive. It keeps you engaged, because now you're not just following a pattern, you're witnessing something that evolves moment by moment. Then suddenly the energy peaks in a different way. Not through structure, but through reaction. A surge, a release, a moment that feels raw compared to everything that came before. It's brief, but it carries weight. It breaks through the precision, just enough to remind you that intensity, when fully realized, cannot always remain contained. And yet, even this moment is not out of place, because it was earned. Everything that came before, the discipline, the control, the gradual build, made this moment possible. Without that foundation, it would feel excessive. But here, it feels necessary. It feels like a natural outcome of everything that has been building. And just as quickly as it rises, the system begins to stabilize again. The rhythm returns. The structure reasserts itself. But something has changed. The experience now carries memory. It's no longer just about progression. It's about what has already happened. That moment of release leaves an imprint. It adds context to everything that follows. It deepens the experience, making each new moment feel more meaningful. You can sense a shift in awareness. There's recognition now, a quiet understanding of the intensity that has been reached. And with that understanding comes control, not just structural control, but conscious control. Everything feels more deliberate again. But this time, it's different, because now the system isn't just maintaining balance, it's choosing it. That's a crucial distinction. Earlier, control was a requirement. Now it's a decision. A deliberate return to precision after experiencing what lies beyond it. And that decision adds a new level of mastery to the entire sequence. As the flow continues, you notice how everything feels more refined than before. Not because it has become simpler, but because it has become clearer. Each element stands out with purpose. Each moment carries weight without needing to force it. And within this clarity, the direction becomes undeniable. There's a sense that everything is now leading toward a final stage. Not rushed, not forced, but inevitable. The progression has reached a level where continuation is no longer just expected, it's necessary. Because the journey isn't complete yet. But now it's closer than ever. And now everything moves toward its final expression. The journey that began with quiet intensity built through discipline, shaped by precision, and expanded through controlled evolution, has reached a point where every element is fully aware of its role. Nothing feels uncertain anymore. Nothing feels incomplete. What remains is execution, clear, deliberate, and unmistakably refined. You can feel it immediately. The rhythm is no longer searching for direction. It has found it. Every movement carries confidence. Every transition feels resolved. There is no hesitation, no adjustment needed. It's as if the entire system has aligned perfectly with itself, operating at a level where effort is no longer visible. This is what mastery looks like at its highest level, not loud, not exaggerated, but deeply precise. The heat that once built gradually is now fully integrated. It's no longer something separate from the experience. It is the experience. It exists in every moment, in every detail, in every transition, but unlike earlier stages, it doesn't feel like pressure anymore. It feels like control, complete control. There's a calmness that emerges here, but it's not the absence of intensity. It's the management of it. A level where everything is so refined that even the most complex processes appear simple, effortless even. And that's what defines the final stage, effort without strain. As you stay within this flow, you begin to notice how everything feels more open, yet more focused at the same time. The structure hasn't loosened, it has matured. It no longer needs to prove itself, it simply operates. And in this state, every single moment now passes with absolute clarity. There's no confusion, no overlap, no unnecessary repetition. Every second contributes directly to the whole. The pacing feels exact, not slow, not fast, just right. This balance is what gives the experience its final sense of authority, because now nothing is building anymore. Everything has arrived. And yet, even in this state, the experience doesn't become static. It continues to move, but with purpose rather than momentum. Earlier, progression was about reaching this point. Now, movement is about expressing it. That's a subtle but powerful shift. The focus is no longer on development, it's on presence. And within that presence, you begin to notice something else: clarity of response. Where earlier stages introduced reaction and variation, here those elements are refined into awareness. Every adjustment feels intentional, every shift is measured, nothing happens without reason. This is where instinct and structure merge. The system no longer relies solely on design, it understands itself. It adapts without breaking form. It evolves without losing identity, and that level of awareness is what elevates everything to its highest state. There's also a noticeable reduction in resistance. Transitions that once required build-up now happen seamlessly. Changes that once needed emphasis now occur naturally. It's not because the complexity has disappeared, it's because it has been fully mastered. You're no longer seeing the effort behind it. You're seeing the result of it. And that result feels complete. Then there's a moment, not dramatic, not exaggerated, but significant. A point where everything seems to pause, not physically but perceptually, as if the entire experience takes a breath. And in that moment you recognize the full journey, from the earliest spark of intensity, to the controlled build, to the expansion, to the release, and finally to this state of complete alignment. It's all there, not as separate stages, but as a continuous flow that has led exactly where it needed to go. And what's remarkable is how natural it feels. There's no sense of forced conclusion, no abrupt ending, just a realization that everything has reached its intended form. That's what makes this final stage so powerful. It doesn't try to impress. It simply exists at a level where impression is inevitable. The heat that defined the beginning is no longer something you notice directly. It's no longer repeated or emphasized, because it doesn't need to be. It has done its work, it has shaped everything. And now it has become part of the foundation. You feel it without hearing it. You understand it without needing it to be stated. That's the difference between presence and expression. Earlier, intensity needed to be shown. Now it's understood. As the sequence continues, you begin to see how every element supports this final state. Nothing stands out unnecessarily. Nothing competes for attention. Everything works together, quietly reinforcing the experience.
This is unity. Individual components no longer feel separate but part of a greater whole. Within that unity, there is confidence. Value is not proven, it is assumed. There's a sense of closure forming. The experience has reached a point where extension would add nothing more. To know when something is complete is a rare achievement. This is true refinement, not in doing more, but in knowing when enough has been achieved. True mastery isn't about reaching extremes. It's about understanding them and shaping them into something balanced. It feels resolved. This separates the highest level, not just the ability to reach a peak, but the ability to remain there, calm and controlled. Every moment contributed to something that feels complete. That is true excellence, clearly, precisely, and without excess. And ultimately, in this final stage, it is complete.